There's two big advantages, or theoretical advantages, to F1 hybrids. One is uniformity. Yeah, they got that. Another one is heterosis or hybrid vigor, that they're superior. Often, not always. It depends a lot what the selected, that the breeder has done. But let's say we want to squash. We want to hybridize a squash. And we've discovered by past experience that if we get a cross of Buttercup and Blue Hubbard, and we come to crosses, these are pretty promising. But there's a little more variation in than we'd like. We'd like to have something very, very uniform. So let's go back to that original, let's recapitulate that cross. This time, I'm not just going to take some Buttercup squash, but I'm going to inbred some parent and grandparent lines. I'm going to select very narrowly and keep back breeding to themselves for 3 or 4 generations, let's say. This is everything we talk about. This is bad. This is incest. You know, you do this too long and you're going to get some deleterious genetic stuff happening. But you can do it with squash for a few generations and be fine. And you get it very, very pure. You might say too pure. Let's say we take the Blue Hubbard and we do the same thing. We have 2 inbred lines. Then suddenly, in 1 generation, we cross them. Now we have a generation which usually has hybrid vigor, has this it's like better than either of the parents. It's like the sum of the virtues of the parents. But very important is they're extremely similar, extremely uniform. Because it's basically each of the parents is contributing the same genes to it. So you have kind of like a combination lock where the same tumblers are lining up the same every time. And so you get a high level of uniformity. Wonderful so far. But then you save the seeds from that, and the whole thing disintegrates, goes back to some combination of, great grandpa and old Uncle Harry the drunk and, brother-in-law, that's all, you get all these, you'll get some good stuff in there, but you'll get a whole unraveling of the thing. So if you're a plant breeder and you want to mess around with this, you will save those few plants, let's say 10% of them, really look like the original cross. They're really good. Then you save those. Or they make look like something completely different, but superior. You want it either way. You see something here you want. It's not stable. So then you spend the next 7 plant generations throwing out. First you got like maybe 10% that are what you want. You throw away 90%. The F2 generation, you select, you do the same thing. Now you find maybe 40% of them are good, and you throw out 60%. And it keeps the odds keep getting more in your favor. Partly also because of the remaining plants, they're contributing pollen. They're more related to each other. After about 7 plant generations, you'll get something that's quite stable. You have very few throwbacks, and at that point, and only at that point, you give it a new name. Don't call it whatever the original was, because it is not. So I would now call it, Will's Choice or something like that, or give it a whole new name. And you've now created a variety, and that variety is relatively stable. You may, every year for a century, you might keep getting 1 or 2 per acre plants are off type. But if you keep selecting, you've got a very stable variety. That's how every new variety basically comes into existence. Unless the new variety is not really a new variety, but a selection. We'll often give names to that you've just simply made a subset of the original variety. You've selected for a certain, you've got a little less diversity there, and we give it a new name.